What is going on? Welcome to episode 167 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh, on this very special interview show with Nintendaan. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Well, hey, before we get into this, guys, that music you just heard was from On Being Human. You can check them out on Spotify and YouTube. Remember, this is an unofficial Nintendo podcast, and if you'd like to get yourself a free book from Audible, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. Pick up something awesome like Blood, Sweat, and Pixels or Ready Player One. The chair I'm sitting in is from OPSeat. Go to n64josh.com/OPSeat. You'll automatically save $10 at checkout. And lastly, guys, pick up my new book, Another Castle. You can go to n64josh.com/Another Castle, and you can pick up either the ebook, the audiobook, or both. All right, they're both available at n64josh.com/Another Castle. With that, we're going to move right into the announcements.
Hey, listen!
Just real quick, remember, we got Mario Kart tournaments happening every week. Jump into the Discord, check out the pinned message in the Mario Kart server. We got Mario Golf going on 3DS. I got to figure out a way to get some Mario Tennis. That's going to be next. And the second Saturday of every month, we got Smash Bros. Tournaments happening. So make sure to check out n64josh.com/Smash Tournament for all the details there. Yeah, that's going to do it for the announcements. We're going to get right into to our interview with Nintendaan here. So here we go.
Here we go!
All right. Nintendaan, what's up?
Hey! I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So, let's talk about your history with Nintendo. Where does it start?
Sure. It starts basically actually from the day I was born, really, which is surprising to some people. So, in the area that I live in the Netherlands, it's not unusual to give somebody who was born a gift that can use later. And one of the gifts that was given to me was actually the Nintendo Entertainment System the moment I was born.
That's amazing.
And for the first 2.5 years, only my uncle and my dad were playing it, so they were already addicted to games.
I love it.
And then at 2.5 years old, I held the controller for the first time, and my dad was trying, emphasis on trying, me to play a level of... the American and European version of Super Mario Bros. 2. So that was the first game I ever came in contact with. And from there, the only thing I really knew outside of my regular life was Nintendo games.
I like this. I could listen to this all day long. So, what were some of your favorite NES games?
Well, once I started to realize that I was playing video games, which was once again at 2.5 years old, and the first couple of games that I was playing was Super Mario Bros. 2, Excite Bike, and there was one more game. Oh gosh, I think it was Balloon Fight, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it was Balloon Fight.
Okay.
Those are the games I still vividly remember. Outside of that, I was like 6-7 years old. I was already actively playing like a lot of Super Nintendo and then N64 later. So those are more vivid memories. And then having the original Game Boy and that being my first handheld and something very personal to me. But it's like the first couple of years I was playing video games. I don't remember everything actively, but I have known video games for all my life basically. So I do have vivid memories of the NES, not as much as most other people who are a little bit older than me, but I know that I have existed for at least a period during my existence.
I see. Well, I've got to pause real quick and just say your Donkey Kong hat is amazing, and for everybody that's just listening, and is that a Celeste t-shirt I see?
Yes, I do. That's a Celeste t-shirt, yeah.
That is awesome, my man. I love it. It. So, when did you end up getting the Super Nintendo?
My dad bought every console and handheld as the spice mostly for me, but of course he was playing them also himself.
Right.
Obviously he is. But until the GameCube, he was still actively playing video games, not as much now anymore. But until the GameCube, he was very active in participating in playing video games.
I see.
And after that, I just bought everything myself, or with birthday money, or as a birthday present, or something like that. And one way or another, after that, just kept going. But without my dad just looking in the backseat from, oh, he's just continuing with games onward. I'm just gonna sit here and see him watch.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of funny. My mom actually texted me a picture today of my dad playing his NES Classic. So I got him one for Christmas, and it almost took a month, but it finally got opened up, and he was playing Punch-Out this morning. So I was pretty stoked to see that. So
nice.
And she's texted me like, he's Little Mac. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
You have to realize how rare it is that somebody only grew up with Nintendo in Europe, because around that time it was still mostly Sega that dominated that market.
Okay, yeah.
Because the original NES was published by Mattel in Europe. And only after that Nintendo came in there Europe full time. So it was really odd for somebody who would be fully focused on just playing Nintendo games, because the majority of the market was still owned by Sega and the Master System, because it was more widely distributed and everything. So for me, it's a really, really weird case to be grown up with a Nintendo household that early.
Yeah, that's unique. That's cool to hear. What would you say is your favorite Nintendo console, or what do you have the best memories with? Which system?
I mean, for the majority of, say, multiplayer games, I would say that it would have been mostly the GameCube era, because around that time, like 12, 16 years old, was very much socializing with people and trying to, like, in contact with people who like the same things that I do. But say my favorite console, that is very difficult, because I think that the majority of Nintendo systems have their strong suits and negative suits. Like, if I would say Super Nintendo, there's a lot of games that I still fondly remember and still actively play. But that does also disservice to some other consoles, like the GameCube, which I put a lot of time in, especially with the games that were released from Nintendo themselves. And it still are franchises that I actively follow today. Outside of that, I was also very much a handheld guy. Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, I put a lot of time into, even though majority of the Mario titles on Game Boy Advance, I would say all of them, were just remakes of older games. But I remember playing a lot of Super Mario Land and Super Mario Land 2, the 6 golden coins. I think I played Super Mario Land 2 in particular like dozens of times now, and still find it very interesting to play. So for me, it's like I like a variety of systems. I've been also mostly been playing handhelds, because that's how I spent like traveling through Europe, because my parents were very adamant to go to a European country every summer. So say to the Czech Republic, which is like a 11-hour drive, I would have a lot of batteries with me and a Game Boy.
A lot of batteries. Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of batteries. So, well, at that time, do you remember which Game Boy you were playing on? Did you have the backlight, or did you have all the goofy peripherals to try to get it so you could see the screen?
It was mostly the goofy peripherals. Always had that worm light attached to it.
Yeah.
And it looked incredibly goofy, especially on the original Game Boy Advance.
Oh, yes. Yep. I remember. I think I even had, I didn't personally own it, but I had a friend who had the Light Boy with the Game Boy. And so when I would borrow that thing, it was like unfolding a transformer, you know, it was crazy. And so, it is interesting that you bring up the point that, like, there wasn't an original Mario game on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I've known that, but like, it's kind of weird. I wonder why that was. Like, because what did we see? We saw basically Mario 2, 3, World, and Yoshi's Story, right? Those were the four that were on there. And I think they did have the black box, just Super Mario Brothers too, didn't they?
Yeah, they had the NES Classic series.
That's right. Yeah.
Which arguably the Japanese boxes of those are way better than the American and European ones, because they would have a cutout on the box there of like the Famicom box, and then lowered into it would be the cartridge, which looks way cooler.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, well that's cool. A lot of handheld stuff. I love hearing that. We don't hear that a lot. We don't talk about a lot of handheld stuff on here. So I love when it gets brought up. Any particular like favorite games on the handheld systems, and it can be from any of them, from DS, 3DS, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, whatever.
Wow. I would say with Game Boy, you can't go wrong with Mario Land and Mario Land 2. I think those were my favorites. Game Boy Color-wise, I was around the time I basically became Pokemon fan nonstop mania. So I would play a lot of Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Gold and Silver. So that's usually how I spend my time. I ever played those games a lot. But also like the spin-off games. Like I played a lot of Pokemon Pinball, and then I went from Pokemon Puzzle League, which was, of course, Tetris Attack when it came out on Super Nintendo, but then it became Puzzle League, and they tried to keep the license going. So I played a lot of those games as well. Outside of that, outside of the Pokemon bubble, I surprisingly played a lot of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, even though I know it was not a great version of that game because it didn't have a wide of a screen on the Game Boy Color.
Right.
But
right.
It was just fun, just going through those levels and having checkpoints back to back, so you just kept going.
Yeah.
On Game Boy Advance, like the first game I popped into there like very actively and never stopped playing was WarioWare,
Okay.
and Pokemon Sapphire. Yeah, that was the one, Sapphire. But like I went back to WarioWare because I could finish that entire game in like a couple of sittings. So like within 2 sittings, I would be the end of that game, and I would erase my save file and do it again.
Oh wow.
But the Game Boy Advance was just the shortest period of any time you have with a handheld, because the Game Boy range, like Game Boy, Game Boy Color, went for an entire lifespan, and then Game Boy Advance was like 4 years, and then the DS came around. So you had some good games on Game Boy Advance. For the time being, there was a lot shorter. So I would say that the biggest collection I have was with Nintendo DS, and then with the original Game Boy. Nintendo DS has a bunch of great games, man, from back to back.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah, I love the Nintendo DS, especially for RPGs or longer games. I felt that at that point that really came to its own. And there was a bunch of SNES games that Europe never got, so when they came to DS, that's the first time I ever played them, like Chrono Trigger, because for Europe never got it for some reason, or very late, I remember.
I've still never played Chrono Trigger. Please don't judge me.
Yeah, we'll get to that very soon. But it's and then with 3DS, I still love my handhelds, and playing a lot of 3DS till this very day. Like I feel that the 3DS is one of the better lineups that Nintendo had as it comes to downloadable games, to actual retail games in a box. They just had a very good run with that, and it feels like we're very inching closer to the end. But we can't diminish of how great like the 3DS has been for games. Like all of the handhelds that Nintendo has released, every time they brought their own game with them. Now we have the Switch, which is very much a handheld in itself, but it's also a weird thing, because it's also a console. So sometimes you get games that are better in handheld mode, and other times you get games that are better on console. Right. So it very, very much feels weird that way, where we had 2 separated areas, which is slowly becoming one now.
For me, like, because I hear a lot of people say, like, oh, they hate the screen on the 3DS after playing the Switch, and it's hard to go back. Like, for me, that's part of the charm, right? Like the lower resolution and the graphics not looking like perfect. I love that about that system. Like, because it still feels like classic Nintendo. It's not that the Switch doesn't. It still has that. But once you move everything into the high definition era, you kind of, I mean, thankfully we've got games like Octopath and stuff that still do some just gorgeous pixel art. But like there to me, there's just an element of charm about the about the 3DS, 2DS XL, that kind of stuff that like I have no problem going back to. It's honestly it's one of those systems that like if I ever really just want to take a break from like, you know, just really relax, it's one of the systems I can really relax with because there's so many great games on there that are single player, you know, that I've never touched. You know, I've the Bravely series, the Fire Emblem series, like I could lose myself for hours and hours. I just got Xenoblade Chronicles on that system, you know, the first one. And so like I don't know. I know it's not the popular opinion, but that system can stay with us for as long as is needed, honestly. Like I keep buying systems for my nieces and nephews and things like that because it's just so great. I mean, literally I had my niece and nephew over on Friday night and they both jump on the couch, fire up Mario Kart, and they just lost themselves in Mario Kart, you know? Watching my nephew drive it, he's only 3, so he's like driving in the water, and then he just laughs about it and gets pulled out, and then he loses it, and he's like, oh, and then he starts over again, you know? So I love it. I love the system. I love that it's just so great for kids and everything. So, but moving right along, we kind of touched on it like briefly, more with games that I'm still getting judged for. But what are some Nintendo games that either you haven't played or that you haven't completed that you know people are going to judge you for?
Ooh, so this is the question I actually had the most trouble coming in answer with because I saw the questions before we actually got started, and I was thinking about it. And the problem is with me, I am pretty good with keeping up with the Nintendo stuff, not as much other things. So I had to think. So I had to spin the question a little bit. Which games did I enjoy less and remember less of them? So I don't really want to go back to them. And this is one that people do judge me for. I feel that's the game that I don't really enjoy, and I don't really see why I understand why I don't enjoy it, and at the same time I have a hard time understanding why people do enjoy it, and I really try to listen to them. I try to really avoid my answer here, but the game I don't really enjoy is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Interesting.
And you've even gone back and played it on Wii U, right?
Yeah, I played it on GameCube, on Wii, and on Wii U. And every time I play through it, it's like, I don't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it honestly, when I don't like a game, I think it sucks more than liking it, because you want to like a game. You always go in with a notion, and people say that about reviewers a lot, and I review a lot of video games within a year, especially written and video. But I always go in with the notion I want to like a game, because there's no fun in wanting to dislike a game. There's no fun in that.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. But every time I go for Twilight Princess, I'm just not having a good time. Which is weird, because a couple of years before, people were outraged at Wind Waker.
Right.
And that is my favorite Zelda game.
It's a great one. It's a great one. Oh, too funny. You can expect tweets. Tweets are going to be coming your way. So
yeah,
just
for that opinion in particular, I always get tweets every time I mention it.
Yeah, don't worry. Nobody will be as disappointed in you as they are in me for all the games I've never played. So you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah.
So let's transition just a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about the Nintendo content that you create. Like, what do you do online?
That's a lot. Some people say it's too much that I sometimes do. So let's see. On YouTube, I have my own channel, which I do gameplay videos for. I'm trying to shift that a little bit the coming months, with doing more original stuff and talking more stuff. Okay. Because people apparently want to hear it. I always think from, is my voice good enough, and that sort of stuff. I always think about that, not so much the other half. But I've been doing that a lot more with, say, Game Explain. I do a lot of video stuff for them as well. I mostly do reviews and features, and sometimes I don't even voice them myself, but just write them and edit them, and they read my script. So it's it's something I want to transition more to, but I also have some questions about, because sometimes I feel that my voice is not good enough, or people complain about my voice, despite, they just need to realize that I'm European and English is not my first language.
I mean, you gotta look at it this way, man.
Yeah.
One, we all have that voice in our head that wants you to stop doing whatever it is that you're passionate about, right? That's going to give you that imposter syndrome or whatever the case is. Two, if somebody has the time to write something negative, something is wrong with them, right? Period.
Yeah.
That's you when you can look at it that way and almost just feel sorry for them, that their life is in a state that they're going to take the time out of their day to write something negative about somebody. They just need a hug or something, So let me encourage you and say, just do it, man. Put it all out there, and those that love it are going to love it and share it, and those that don't will move on.
That's fair. That's fair.
Don't let anybody impact you in such a way that it makes you second guess yourself. Like, what you're doing is awesome, and that's it. That's all you need to know. If you're passionate about it and you love it and it's something you would watch, it's good enough. So don't let anything negative get you down, because you're killing it, man. So don't
thank you.
Just keep doing that.
So outside of that, I've been kind of dipping my toes into Twitch for a couple of months now. It's been fun, I don't really need much people who watch me. I just need people who actively talk and just get involved, and that has been a lot of fun, honestly.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it myself.
Yeah. Outside of that, outside of the video stuff, I do a podcast that's solely about eShop games. We restarted that recently. It's called the eShop Action Committee, which I think is a fun name.
Wait, the eShop Action Committee? That's like on iTunes and Google Play and stuff?
Yep, it's up on Spotify and iTunes. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, guys, make sure to go check that out. eShop Action Committee.
Yeah.
That's great. What a great name.
Yeah, we talk about games that came out. We recently put up an episode about our favorite games for 2018, and we name a certain game that's on my t-shirt, of course.
Celeste.
Yeah. Outside of that, it's I do a couple of websites. I do daily news over at Go Nintendo, which is one of the bigger news sites when it comes to Nintendo news.
Sure. Yeah.
I do mostly articles, like original stuff, for Nintendo World Report, which is also an American website. I'm solely the only European that's currently doing active stuff on there.
Okay. Say that website again.
Nintendo World Report.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and next week we're actually doing our yearly telethon for Child's Play, where we just do all of our podcasts, like a 12-hour live session for a good cause for Child's Play. And the current goal is to raise $4,000. We're almost there at 1,000, and apparently somebody's going to match it up 2,000 by Tuesday. How much we ever reach, it's going to be very fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I already committed, and this is a very weird thing. I committed to playing Mario Party 5 on GameCube if we reach 5,000. Funny thing with that, Mario Party 5 together with Mario Party 1 is my least favorite Mario Party. So the joke has now become he has now to play his least favorite Mario Party on a stream 50 turns.
50 turns. All right. Well, guys, make sure to tune in for that. What's the Twitch channel you'll be on?
Hopefully it will be restreamed on my personal Twitch, but they don't have a Twitch channel themselves. They usually do on YouTube.
I see.
Okay. So they usually do YouTube streaming. So I'm likely rebroadcasting that on my personal Twitch.
Okay, I got you.
So that's going to be fun. Outside that, what do I do more? Well, it's Game Explain, Go Nintendo, Nintendo World Report. I mostly do English stuff on. I do a couple of freelance stuff now and again, and then also some stuff for some local websites, so in my own language. So yeah, that's about the lot that I do. It's a lot, but I have a good time doing it.
Love it, man. Love it. That's great. That's great. What advice would you give someone wanting to start creating their own Nintendo content?
Just start doing it. That's the best advice I can give you. If you think you have a good enough voice, and you think you have stuff to say, just go ahead and do it. Doesn't matter if it's an article, a video, a podcast. You should start doing something and building something from there. Because if you put nothing out there and just start doubting yourself like I did just there, you get stuck in a hole where you think you have something to say, but just don't commit to it. Mm-hmm. Like some of the best people that I've worked with over these, let's say, 10 plus years, are people that just randomly started to do stuff and had an interest in doing so. We got recently some new people on staff on Nintendo World Report who just randomly started to write because they had interest in writing about video games. And I'll say this, as amateur writers, they do even better stuff than some of the professionals out there. And they were people who were clearly doubting themselves if they should ever write something about a game. And a couple months later, they're just doing it. So, like, whatever you are mostly passionate about, doesn't matter in which type of form it is, the only thing I can give you and say to you is just try it. Like, nothing is stopping you to try something. Especially with how the internet now is wired these days, you can easily start up a blog on some hosting site and start writing stuff you're fond of. YouTube, you could just make a YouTube channel and make a video. If you have the tools to make it, just do it. Anything way goes, and the most important thing is you're dedicated to it. Because if the passion shows in whatever you're making, people will come. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, you can get community built around that passion for sure. One of the things, because I get that question often, like, where should I start? And a lot of times I'm telling people just to start with Instagram, because they can take a photo or a video and they can write long form content as well. Right. And so it's really just a great place to start getting involved with the gaming community and see what happens. And it can all be done from your phone, which pretty much everybody has. Right. So it's that's one of the area that I tell a lot of people to start, is just start with Instagram, start getting involved in that community, and then see where it goes. Because, you know, a lot of people can make excuses. I don't have the right computer. I don't have a capture card. I don't have this. Like, all those excuses are doing is holding up your progress when you could be making progress now.
I mean, you could basically just talk over a trailer if you really, really wanted to. If you don't have a capture card, just talk over a trailer and still give your thoughts. That's all you need to do. Like, the most important thing is to just tell how you feel.
Yeah, and you could screen record those trailers on your phone and then record into an audio, like into like a garage band or whatever you have on your phone, depending on which phone you have.
Phone you use,
and you're good to go. You're good to go. So
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking the time.
No worries at all.
This was good. Why don't you again tell everybody where they can find you, and then I'm gonna have you send me all of your links, because it sounds like there's a lot of them, and I want to make sure that that I get them in the notes.
That sounds fair. That sounds completely fair. You can find me on Twitter, which is at Nintendaan. That's NENTENDAAN. That's my personal account. If you want to follow the podcast that I do, because with eShop Action Committee, we started a podcast, but I'm also like daily promoting a game that's previously been on eShop and that doesn't get any love anymore. So I do now a game every single day, where I do 2 posts with a video with a little bit of text, and then the third link where you can buy it in America and Europe.
I see.
So that is at eShop Action, which is, once again, a fun thing to say.
Love it. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, make sure to get me all those links, and we'll get them in the notes here. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, all the places. It's at N64Josh. You can follow this podcast at NPowercast. The show notes that will have all the links you need will be n64josh.com/NPC167. If you want to email the show with a question, comment, whatever, npc at n64josh.com. Remember, guys, you can also use the hashtag AskNPC on Twitter or Instagram. You know, post a picture, ask a question about a certain game, whatever's on your mind, and just comment whatever, and we will read them on the show. That's hashtag AskNPC. Also, if you're just having fun on Instagram, you're posting up Nintendo stuff, tag me in it. I want to see it. All right, I want to see some of the Nintendo stuff you guys are putting up, and some of you have already been doing that. And it's been awesome. I love seeing the, you know, I've seen some NES classic gameplay and stuff like that. So make sure to continue doing that. I love seeing it. Remember, you can get yourself a free book from Audible by going to audibletrial.com/NPC. You can pick up something awesome like Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. The chair I'm sitting in from OP Seat. Go to n64josh.com/OP Seat. You'll automatically save $10 at checkout. Remember, I do have a Patreon. You go to patreon.com/n64josh. And my new book, Another Castle, is out now. You can pick it up, and Nintendo on is showing, looks like Pikachu in an Eevee costume, or vice versa. I love it. Lastly, guys, come into the Discord. n64josh.com/Discord is your invite. n64josh.com/Facebook group is our Facebook group. Come hang out with us there. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.